Hi, welcome at Landgoed Staverden. This estate Staverden is a beautiful castle and it has been here for a long time, and it's a beautiful building nowadays. The building itself was already, well, this is the fourth castle you see behind me, and there was a tiny castle in the Middle Ages around 1300, and this Duke of Gelderland nowadays, had the idea to make a new city, and he got city rights. He gave up those lovely big ideas 30 years later, and it never was more than a castle and some farmhouses, and still today it only has 30 inhabitants. So when the Duke gave up on this little city, and he used this place as a hunting ground, a hunting lodge, and all the forests in the nearby area, he put here some other man to take care of his estate, and there were vassals. They only had one obligation, these vassals, and that was to keep white peacocks. Pretty rare, also probably then and still today. They should be here, and they needed to have these white peacocks because yearly, or maybe even more often, the Duke wanted to have a white feather on his helmet. In the 1900s there was a new owner, after many more of course, and he introduced this tradition again, and still every other year now they give a white feather of one of these peacocks here to a company or a person that has been very good for the cultural or the landscape like heritage of this region, of this province of Gelderland. So I would say let's go and search what there is to find about these white peacocks still. They should be somewhere. So apart from the main building, there's a beautiful kind of roundabout garden, official entry. One of probably the carriage house with a lovely steeple is now a brewery, lovely beer. And adjacent, this really nice garden layout, classical style, symmetrically built up. On the left some other buildings, the orangerie, where they could keep plants in the winter time. And that is now a place you could rent, and there was just a wedding a while ago. And even a fountain, and then a real moat. And the castle has changed hands over the last decades, many times. It was too hard to keep it as a private property, and recently it has been bought back again, and now is part of the Gelderland Castle and Landscape Foundation. The little garden, the planted flower garden, is lovely, and there is the orangerie and the fountain. The orangerie, you see the high windows, and which is obviously very good for the winter time when plants would be there to overwinter, as we say in Dutch, to stay through the winter. The flower beds, and then here you can see the peacock, one of the peacocks. A nice statue, there's two of them here, but still not the real one. Nicely done. Here you can see the mini waterfall, truly streaming down here in the Netherlands, pretty rare. And then there's a gorgeous reflection of the estate, of the castle of Staverden, with in the middle the white peacock. And all the water here, I hear the waterfall of the old water mill. And there was already a mill before the house was built, the house here, the castle of Staverden. And the water mill was to grind grain, so not so much for electricity. Was here already in the end of the 13th century, so about 1291, really early. And the house was built later. They officially got city rights, but like I said before, they never made it further than, well, quite some farms and the castle and all the buildings here on the estate. The waterfall was part of this grinding flour mill, and it has been used till beginning of the 20th century, I think the 20s. Then the last miller left and only got restored in 2014 to be functional again. But there were hundreds of these grinding mills, mostly for grain to make flour, here in the Veluwe region. The houses here in the back of the water mill with the beautiful thatch roofs are the visitor center where you can find information about the region, about all the hikes you can take here, the lovely landscape. Because as you can see on the map, there are several hikes you can do here, 3 kilometers. You can combine them into longer, and they're all signposted by painted little posts along the road. And the landscapes are different. Beech woods, little rivers floating through, not floating, little rivers streaming through. There are open fields, the skies are ever changing, tiny farmhouses, and if these farmhouses have the same shutters with the coat of arms of this castle, then you can see they belong to the estate and had to work for the vassal, indirectly for the Duke of Gelre. It's quiet now, the wedding party has left. Most people go home at the end of the day. What is this? It is not a place to put in your letters. I guess nowadays it's an entry for bats, because this underground little building structure, which is in a hill, and that's the entry, was probably an ice basement. The rich people on the estate, especially in the 19th century, maybe 18th, they discovered that they could keep the ice from the winter that was floating around on their moats here in the air, and on their premises. They would cut pieces out and put it and store it in these kind of underground places, and it would last way long into the summers. It is nice that on this estate is also like this little gazebo in the background, and gazebos were, we call them theehuisjes, like a tea house. You have your cup of tea, especially for the ladies, and keep your white skin, because getting a sunburn was certainly not the fashion in the old days. And often they were put along waterways or roads, so you could see what happened on the streets and stay a little bit updated and have some lively view. Behind me also you see a copper beech, and this beech tree has slightly red roots, or purplish brown, compared to green. They were not so much a novelty. Hey, there's another one on the other side of the water behind me. And the thing is about these copper beeches is that they kind of miss something in their leaf, the green pigment, to have photosynthesis in a proper way. So these trees have to work really way harder to get their sugars ready to survive winters. Something I learned the other day. I always loved these copper beeches, and now I even have lots of respect for them. Well, I guess I did not find the live white peacocks. My visit was nevertheless not in vain. I had a lovely hike here today. Time for me to go home again, and please have a look at my other YouTube videos, and there's more coming. I try to make one let's say every 2 weeks or so you can enjoy along about the beautiful parts here in the Netherlands. And keep an eye out. You may subscribe to my YouTube channel, and or give me a call if you need a guide just in the city, or think of a nice tour here in the Netherlands. Oh, and here you can see what's there. You can see the castle, the Brewery, the water wheel. And I didn't show you the maze, the Doolhof. That's something you can find out for yourselves. Bye.